Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 51st episode of NiinaN Knitting. My name is Niina, and I live in Jyväskylä in central Finland with my husband, our two kids, and a dog. Today's Monday, November 18th, and I'm inside. I'm home alone. The weather outside is horrific, plus a few degrees Celsius. Very rainy, very gray, no sunshine whatsoever, dark. It's, I don't know, 10 a.m. right now, but yeah, it's a dreary day. But it's been quite a while since I last podcast, and I don't even remember. A long time ago, a month, over a month, I'd say. In between two episodes, I had this sort of a vlog of 1 week showing you what I tend to do with my time. I got quite a few comments on that vlog and on the last episode. Thank you for all of them. It's really nice to get some feedback, and of course to interact and to see that people do watch. And of course, it gives me the opportunity to say something back and maybe to explain if something wasn't clear or if I hadn't explained something well enough. A few things about my vlog. I'm just glancing at my notes here. I have quite a few. But yeah, so I did say at the beginning of the vlog and during that it's gonna be a very, very boring one because it's more or less the same thing day in, day out. And I got quite a few comments saying that, yeah, well, that's your normal life for you, anywhere you are. And then again, if you're in another country, it's kind of exciting. It's not maybe not exciting, but interesting to see what sort of a everyday life people lead in other countries. So yeah, I get the point. But of course, if I was doing that like on a monthly basis or something, well, I wouldn't. Like I said in the vlog, it's not my thing. And yeah, I just, for a week it was okay, but on a regular basis I just wouldn't have the interest to do that. Yeah, but yeah, I can understand sort of, and that's my dog. If you can hear the click clack on the of his nails on the floor. Um, what was I saying? So yeah, thank you for the comments. It did seem like I was walking the dog all the time, and I do, and that's a good thing to know if you don't own a dog and you're planning to get one. Yes, you do have to walk the dog 3 times a day minimum. But of course, the moment when I was walking the dog was also the moment where I was alone, so I felt more comfortable talking to the camera, and I didn't want to show my family too much because I know that they didn't really or wouldn't have wanted to be in a vlog or in my video. So I did show glimpses of them, but not specifically what they do or stuff like that. So yeah, that was also the time where I was alone. So it gave me a chance to talk about my day or my thoughts at that particular moment. It was really fun to hear from the other side of the world, from Dorothy in Australia, who was talking about how the or the what the weather is like in there at the moment, because it's springtime in Australia, which is just uh, well, yes. Anyway, um, it was amazing. Like, it's cold and not so nice in here, and getting freezing temperatures and so forth, and back in and there down under in Australia plus 34 degrees Celsius or something. I was like, oh wow. And so it is so different in different parts of the country, and that's also fun to see, like what kind of things people do on the days that you know what you've done, and then there's somebody thousands of kilometers away who has a very different climate and very different um, life. They're doing different things. So yeah, it was very nice to hear from Dorothy, to hear her tell about what sort of weather they're having. Um, oh yeah, and then there was the last comment was about my work. First of all, I'm not a professor. I'm a part-time teacher at the university. I have mentioned it, but maybe not very often. I don't work long days. Uh, I work late hours. That's how it is when you're teaching courses that are not compulsory to every or to anybody really. I teach French for beginners, and at the moment this year, it's meant that I have classes early in the morning from 8 to 10 and somewhere around there, and then I have uh, late afternoon classes from 4 to 6 p.m. And this is the first time I've had those 4 to 6 p.m. classes. And I have to admit, I'm not a fan. Even though I do consider myself as a night owl, mm, still, when I come home after 6, like maybe 6:30, come home, yeah, maybe somebody has already taken the dog out. So I'll just have sort of a free time, have some coffee and whatever, just be there. But I do feel tired, and um, I don't feel up to doing any housework. So, like laundry or stuff like that. So, when I had Mondays and Tuesdays, I had those late afternoon classes. uh, I felt like the laundry pile had just gone from very big to humongous uh, in the course of a few days. So, and it's not even that my husband wouldn't do the laundry; he does, but that's the sort of little things that you notice when you when I or that I noticed when I didn't feel up to doing much of anything. I would just sit there and watch podcasts or TV and just zoom out. so, so, so it's not my favorite thing, even though I'm not a morning person. It's just that I've learned to wake up in the morning because when I have to. But I still do have to admit that I prefer the morning lessons to the late afternoon ones. Anyway, so that's it. Um, that's how it is this year. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I think that's all about the vlog week. Then my stuff, my craftsy things. What do I have for you today? I have knitting. I have crochet. I have some sewing. So yeah, a little bit of everything. Oh, well, not everything, but a little bit of all the three. So that's fun. I have 3 finished objects, I think. And then I have a few whips. And I haven't bought any yarn, but I do have a purchase to show you. And then a little bit of chatter at the very end of the episode. But first of all, let's start with a finished object that I don't have anymore, and I have made a small video showing it.
So my sister had a birthday earlier this month, and I asked her if she wanted something knit for her birthday present. And she said that, yeah, she'd like a pair of socks, and she likes them pretty with a pretty long leg, knee high or almost. So I had to go to Ravelry and browse it. And since the sort of standard sock yarn here in Finland is Novita 7 veljestä, which is quite a heavyweight yarn, 200 meters for 100 grams. That's what I was browsing for. And I found a pattern by NiinaN. It's called the WOD socks. And apparently it has something to do with CrossFit training. WOD. Anyway, so this is what I made. I used 2 colors. This is just a gray, and then there is this rainbow color yarn. And as you can see, I actually wasn't going to make them into a fraternal pair, but if you look closely, the first circles are both done with gray, but this is where I sort of did something wrong. I forgot one more row, and that's why my weightlifting buddies here are fraternal and not like they were supposed to be both on gray. That doesn't matter. I think they look pretty nice as they are, especially since I wasn't going to try and make them match altogether, because I had just started with actually it was with this one. So I had started with this sort of reddish color, and when I had finished with the pair, here's the same red, and here's the purple. So if I had wanted to make them match, I would have had to wind off all of this teal or light blue, the green, the yellow, and the orange. And I just didn't want to waste that much yarn. So I decided that, yeah, I'm just gonna, I'll just continue using, actually, maybe this one was, anyway, I'll just continue with what I had from the rainbow colored yarn. So they weren't going to match totally, but this is not something I planned. But it looks okay. It looks okay. Both the heels are in gray because I fixed the problem just before the heel. I made one more row of whichever color there was that where I'd gone wrong, and then the foot of the sock is identical. Well, not with the identical colors, but this is where I alternated the 2 skeins by helical knitting, stuff that I've been talking about quite a bit, and which I find easiest to do. Just your regular, what's the Dutch heel, is it? Yeah. Slip stitch, heel flap, and then Dutch heel turn. And they're finished. I used 110, maybe almost 120 grams of yarn for them. And now that I've recorded a section with it, or with the pair, I'll be able to put it in the mail and get it to my sister.
And what I did forget to tell you in that video clip was the cost of the socks, because I've tried to remember to see how much it cost me to make these projects. And those socks were just under 200 grams. And Novita Seitsemän Velistä yarns come, well, those two particular colorways came in 150-gram balls. And the unicolored was 450 or something. And the striped I got from a friend of mine, but I think it costs like around €6 a ball. So I'd estimate that about 200 grams of those two colors, and with the gray color being the one that I used a lot more, I'd say they were somewhere around €8, maybe, the cost of the socks. The pattern was free on Ravelry. I'm not sure if I mentioned it on the video. Then there is another finished object. Last time these were a work in progress. Now I have finished them. It's the Ohi'a Lehua socks by Adrienne Fong. This is where I was last time. I just started the cuffs. I was knitting them 2 at a time on magic loop, using 2.5 millimeter, that's US size 1.5, circs. And the yarn I used is Wool Me Once Fibers Gold Glitter Sock in the colorway Rose Gold. And well, the lighting is so yucky that I really will not be able to make the gold stellina show on camera. It's very, very subtle here in person too, but I really like it. And of course I used some beads, and they are I think they're see-through, and then the tube or the hole has a silver lining inside, so I think that creates quite a nice effect. This pattern is just amazingly beautiful. So Adrienne Fong passed away this summer, at the end of this summer, and all her patterns are free on Ravelry, and I can only recommend them. They are absolutely beautiful. So the heel flap also has some lace, and with the way I make my yarn overs, I'm not totally sure how well these are going to wear. But of course, they're really pretty, so maybe they're not the kind of socks you would use every day. Maybe you would. I don't know. I might. I sometimes I just use the most beautiful socks in my rubber boots, just because I can. Okay, I made a mistake when I was knitting these. When I had finished the heel flap, I had read the instructions for the heel turn, but at the minute when I started doing the turn, I was watching something else, and I just glanced at the instructions, and I was kind of surprised at Huh, really? That's how they. So you purl back. And so I did the turn doing the reverse stockinette out. Of course, the pattern had told the knitter to start doing the heel turn on the wrong side, which I ignored. So, and I was doing them two at a time, and I had already gone like this far when I really checked and the instructions and noticed, oh, of course, yes, I know, I did sort of notice it when I read the instructions beforehand, but not well enough to really do something about it when I was actually knitting. So I decided to finish the turn on doing the reverse stockinette outside or outwards, whatever. and then I just when I after I picked up the stitches at the edges of the heel flap, that's when I started doing stockinette. And one of the cool things about this heel is that the gusset decreases are here at the side of your sole, and sole being SOUL. But yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. Kind of neat. Yeah, very, very nice socks. I'm not gonna, I don't know who's gonna get them, if I'll be uh, keeping them for myself, or if I'll give them to somebody as a present. That remains to be seen, but they're really nice. And this was a Sock Knitters Anonymous, that's Ravelry group. Their challenge for some October, I think. October challenge, I think. Perhaps I have it in my project pages, and I'll link my projects in the show notes. That will be in my Ravelry group, and I'll link that one down below in the description box on YouTube. But yeah, these are really beautiful, and I recommend them. Like, look at this, how this patterning sort of grows together. Ah, yes, very nice. And then the third finished object is something that you saw me working on the blog, and I was frantically trying to get it done because it was for my nephew, and he had his birthday in October, and this is November. I didn't finish it on time, and I don't know, there's just one thing happened and then something else, and I ended up not sending it right away after finishing it, so I still have it. So last time I showed you the sweater I was making for my nephew, or my sister-in-law's son. I was in here. So I had it started from the hem, and I had knit almost up to the separation of the, or well, not separation, but almost to the armpits, because you knit this bottom up. You do the body first, and then you do the sleeves. And the sleeves don't have anything sort of particular about them. There's this rolled cuff, and maybe the one thing that is something a little different is that you have these twisted stitches, these columns of twisted knits, sort of where the seam would be, and then you do the increases on both sides of the knits, and then there's reverse stockinette, and then a panel of just regular stockinette on the top of the arm. And once you had them knit up to a certain length, then you would join all of them together and then start doing the decreases for the neck. And I was using the yarn. The yarn is Novita Nordic Wool. I should have a ball band somewhere here, but I'm not gonna try and look for them. I had bought 5 balls of it, 5 50-gram balls. They were on sale for $1 a ball, or not $1, €1, €1 for a ball of yarn. And once I got to the decreases, I ran out of yarn. So this is Dalegarn Falk that I used for a sweater that I made for my daughter maybe last year or the year before. But after I had, washed it and I blocked it and everything, I think this is actually pretty big for the guy. He's very skinny. But anyway, this weighs 200 and how many? I just weighed it. Where did I put it? I have it here. Maybe I didn't put it in here in my notes. It was 227 or something. So 5 50-gram balls should have been enough to finish this sweater. I don't know what's happened. Then afterwards I realized that I actually do have my swatch, and now I'm really thinking maybe I should frog my swatch, frog the yellow or the orange neckline, and do it with the yarn I get from the swatch. I'm guessing this would be enough. But still, these two, this sweater and this small swatch together is not 250. Not even with the orange one, it's not 250 grams. Of course, I didn't weigh the yarn when I got it, but let's just say that it's surprising. Totally my own fault too. I could have bought 6 balls, but I looked at the meterage and I figured that yes, it's enough. And yes, if I frog the swatch, it probably will be. So I'll be fine. But it's a little surprising anyway. So this is sort of a finished object, but I may still rip this off and finish it with this swatch. But yeah, this is Leif's Twisted Tree Pullover by Sarah Pope It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And since I had 5 balls of Novita Nordic wool, was it? Yes, yarn that I got for €1 a ball. It makes the cost of this sweater €5. That's pretty nice. Yeah. Did I write anything else down? No, that's it. And that's my third finished object. And then all I have whips. Okay, then I have a whip. That was a whip last time, but I've seen quite a bit of progress since then. It's the second pair of the rainbow socks. I showed you a finished one last time, and then I had gone this far of the first sock of the second pair. And so I finished it last week, I think. And I already have cast on the second sock, even though I'm not very far doing that. So all these yarns are from Novita. Novita 74 raita, it's stripes, and it's this rainbow color. And then I have just a black one, also from Novita 74. This is the full band for the black. And I don't have a pattern for it like for the first one. I cast on 52, I think, stitches. I have it in my notes on Ravelry, and I did a 2x2 rib, and then I started doing helical knitting, striping with the rainbow colored yarn, and then I'm doing this heart, or did this heart with slip stitches. And for the second sock, I'm on the previous row, so on the next row I'll be starting the heart. I'm using my 4.0 millimeter. I don't think you can see the 4.0. Anyway, these are zings, knit picks zings, is it? I think 4.0 is US size 6. Yeah, that's it. Nothing particular about these, but yeah, like I said, I finished one. It doesn't even take that long. After you get the heart done, it's just going round and round, and then of course the heel flap and gusset, which is just a normal, it's like you can't see anything, just a normal slip stitch and Dutch heel turn. So nothing special or particular about them. And at the moment, they're in my Nostalgia Knits project bag. And that's my first whip. My second whip is somewhere down here. It's not a very flattering one because of my choice of yarn. This is the November-December mystery sock for the Sock Knitters Anonymous group in Ravelry. On Ravelry. I think it's on Ravelry. I've done the first 2 clues, and the third one was released last Friday. I just started it. It's just a heel flap, so there's nothing secret about that, I think. But if you're doing the mystery sock and you don't want to see the first 2 clues done, then yeah, you might want to Look away. Maybe fast forward a little bit. I'm using some Novita Tico Tico yarn. Looks like this, and it's a self-striping, very dark colors. Of course, yes, there's the gray and the light blue, but then some like electric royal blue, and then very, very dark blue, almost black. Is it black? Maybe it even is black. This time of the year, knitting yarn in this color is murder. But yeah, and maybe I'm not too crazy about the yarn. This is a discontinued yarn, Novita Tico Tico. I changed the name, I think. It's a fingering weight yarn, but as you can see, it's uh, extremely thin. I think it's very tightly twisted, maybe, or something, but it's a normal 400 or something meters in 100 grams. So the meterage is your regular fingering weight, but it's very, very thin. Knitting it because of the structure is not very, very nice. Let's just say I'm lost for words. It's not an enjoyment, let's say. And with with these needles, a little less. So I'm using 2.5 millimeter circular knit pig zings, and I'm a very tight knitter, and the join in this uh, needle it has this sort of, I don't know, threshold or something. There's a little thing where I get my stitches caught. So whenever I move, or here are the legs of the socks. Whenever I move the stitches from the cable to the tips, I have to really push them. Most of the stitches, I have to push them on the needle over this join, because I knit so tightly, and because the yarn is so thin that my tight uh, stitches become very small on a 2.5 millimeter, that's US size 1.5 needle. Wow. So, but the pattern itself, this is called She Blinded Me with Science apostrophe by Becky Green, and um, it's well, you can see a little bit of it here in the lighter colors. So there is this DNA twist. What was it? What's it called? DNA chain. This is what that this is supposed to be, and I think it looks really fun. I've seen some other projects in better colors than mine, and it's very nice. It's very nice. So yeah, you can't see anything from the cuffs because there's a dark, not in this light anyway. Once I finish these socks, I will try and have to pick a sunny day, so maybe in February, and try and get better or good photos of the pair. But yeah, I think they are really fun. And since I'm not crazy about the color. I'm really not crazy about the yarn, but I do want to use it. I think it feels like it's gonna be durable. It's gonna be hard wearing. So I'm pretty sure that with these small needles, uh, small for me, um, they will be really nice socks, durable socks. And if I hadn't chosen a pattern, if I had tried to do plain stockinette from this colorway this time of the year, I would have just ripped it back. And of course, doing patterning in colors that you really can't see, well, that's a challenge. But yeah, it keeps my interest up. So I'm confident that I will finish the socks, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the yarn. And like I said, it's been discontinued. This is a yarn that I got from somebody who was destashing her yarns. I got a bag full of yarn. I showed it in one of my episodes late last summer, I think. But yeah, this is one of the projects that I'm working on at the moment. And then there's one more. Uh, I've been talking about making Christmas presents for my nieces. I have 3 nieces. And I've been just talking and talking and talking, and nothing has been done until now. So I've started one of the presents, and again, I'm using Novita yarn. It's nice and thick, so it doesn't take that long to finish projects. So again, it's Novita Seitsemän Veljestä yarn. I have this in 2 colors. One is this ball. I have this little left. It's actually not, well, it looks orange on my screen right now. This is actually a raspberry color. Wow, that's very yellow. That's totally orange on the screen. I don't know how it'll look on the computer screen, but yeah, it's raspberry. And then I have some Novita Seitsemän Veljestä Polaris, which is this sort of, it's not stripy. Is it variegated? Well, you'll see how it looks. This is a crochet project. And you start with a granny square, sort of a granny square that I did in the Novita Polaris. And so you, first of all, you crochet this square. This pattern is called Wildrose Backpack by Stephanie Jessica Lau, is it? Yeah. And I'm using a 4.0 millimeter hook, and that doesn't exist in the letter system, so you'll just have to be happy with 4.5 millimeter. Anyway, so you start with this granny square, and then you crochet 4 triangles, and then you stitch them all up together, and then you start crocheting from this side, and then you start crocheting, and you do a number of rows, and then you do the same for the other side. And then it said to weave in the ends and then sew the seam together. Of course, I didn't want to do multiple different things, so I just seamed it with some slip stitches using my crochet hook. And then you started doing the upper part of the backpack. We started doing round and round, and then we did this one round with some holes, and then you did some single crochets, a few rounds, and then you did some holes, and then single crochets, and the edging has been done with crab stitches. I really like it. I think it looks pretty. And then you do a little bit of the bottom. You do a row of these holes and then some single crochets, and then you crochet 2 rectangles like this. And I was afraid I'd run out of yarn if I used this raspberry color, because it had you make 2. So I used the Polaris yarn to do the sort of inner bottom part of the back. So this is how it looks when it's knit in single crochets. I think, yes, kind of fun. And then yeah, you I think they said to sew these together. I chose to crochet them together because I feel that when you crochet the sides of the bag and the back bottom of the bag together, it'll be easier to do it through 2 layers of crochet rather than 3. Okay, this is me 2 days later. Something came up last time and I had to stop recording. But during those 2 days, I finished the backpack. I think I had already explained everything I know, or the modifications I'd made for the pattern or the instructions. I was doing the back or the bottom seam of the backpack, and the instructions said to do the seaming and then crochet shoulder straps. And since I knew I wanted to make the straps in a different yarn than the rest of the backpack, I just thought it would be a good idea not to sew it on the backpack itself, but to get the strap in between the seam. So I needed to do the straps first, or the strap actually, in one piece. So that's what I started doing next. And the instructions have you crocheting sort of an I-cord, I think, inside out. Or well, it's a tube anyway. And that's how you have it. Like the inside, the side that normally is the inside like this would be in, or the right side of the crochet would be inside the strap, and this would be what you'd have visible. But it was done in a little different way, a little differently. It had instructions, but my brain wasn't functioning well or something. I just didn't know how to do it. Besides, I crochet pretty tightly, and I was kind of struggling with it. So I tried to crochet it, the right way out. Do crochet a little tube, but with the stitch count, the tube was pretty wide, and I didn't like the look of it. So what I ended up doing was just take 3 strands of the yarn I was using, hold them together, and crochet just a really long chain with a very big crochet hook. So this is what it looks like. Chain looks like. Yep. This is 100% acrylic yarn that I've used before, somewhere, don't remember. And I thought it would look pretty nice with the rest of the bag. Besides, since it's acrylic, it does not have as much of a stretch as your wool yarn would have. So I think this would be a better idea in the shoulder straps. So yeah, here it is already. So what I changed, what I did the really long chain, and then I put the chain in between the seam. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, when I was crocheting the bottom together with the rest of the bag, I put it there in between the seam. And then I wove in the ends from the shoulder strap and did all the things that the instructions told you to do. So in that way, I followed instructions, but just that the strap is different from it's not as wide as the crochet, the different version of the crocheted strap would have been. But then again, it's a small bag. You probably won't have a lot of weight or stuff in it, so you won't weigh that much, so it won't be as bad on your shoulders if you have it in your back. That's what I'm trying to say. And then it has a cell phone pocket or something, and this I did pretty much the way the instructions told you to do. And I didn't sew it in the bag. I used a chain of slip stitches, and you kind of see it from the outside. Let's see, where is it? This part. You kind of do see that there are two yarns in there, one from the original crocheting and one is the seam, but it's the same yarn, so you really don't notice it unless you know. So yeah, you can put your cell phone in the sort of pocket in the bag. So this is pretty fun, and I'll have to make two more for the other nieces, and I just hope I'll finish them in time before Christmas. It took me 2 weeks about to make this one, but I was doing a lot of different things in between or at the same time, and now I'll just have to concentrate on crocheting another one of these, and then I have a pair of socks maybe that I'll do at the same time. As for the cost, the pattern was free on Ravelry. I don't know if I mentioned that. The unicolored Novita Seitsemän Veristä is about €5 a ball. I've had these yarns for a long time, so I don't know what I paid for them, but it's about €5 or $4.50 a ball, and I used a whole ball of this unicolored and this raspberry colored yarn, and I used half a skein or half a ball of this Novita Polaris, which is probably about €7. So I'd say that all in all, this will be under €10 for the bag, and it's a nice project. I enjoyed seeing how it sort of evolved and became a bag. So it was a fun project to make as well. I can highly recommend it. Then another one that I have done in between recordings was I fixed the neckline from the shirt I showed you. So I had a swatch. So I had more yarn, but I just forgotten that I made the swatch, and I could have used it before and not use the orange yarn that I showed you, or the neckline in the sort of orange yarn that I made it before, because I thought I'd run out of yarn. But yeah, this is a lot better. And this is how much I have left of the swatch. So I still have some yarn, but it's all in here. It was a struggle. Yeah, I ripped it back. That was fine. And then I knit just plain stockinette, because it's a rolled up or rolled down, whatever, knit line, but the bind off. At first go, I thought, okay, yeah, I'll just bind it off. And then I wove in the end, because I don't have a problem with weaving in ends normally if I don't have a million of them. So I'll just do it right away. And what an idiot weaves in the ends before checking that the bind off is stretching enough. Anyway, so I done that, and I realized that, oh no, nobody's gonna get their head through that. So I ripped out the bind off, and I tried a stretch yoke, because at first go I tried just the regular one that I usually use. Knit, so knit two, pass one over, knit another one, pass one over, etc. I thought I was doing it loosely, but apparently I wasn't. So I ripped it back. And then I tried a stretchier one, which is knit one, yarn over, knit one, pass over the yarn over and the previous stitch, and then yarn over, knit one, etc. And I'd done at least half of the stitches, and then I just looked, this looks really ugly. Well, if I had really stretched it out, maybe wouldn't have been that ugly, but anyway, I didn't like the look of it, even though it rolls down like this. So I ripped that back. And then I tried my normal one, but just thinking, okay, now I'm gonna concentrate on doing it very loosely. And so I did. And then I wove in the end. And then I realized, okay, it was sort of stretchier than before, but still not close to being stretchy enough. So I ripped back the bind off, and then I decided to do a sewn bind off that I've used. I think the first time I saw it, it was in a shawl pattern, and it's where you you have a really long tail, and then you put the yarn on a needle, or in a needle, through a darning needle, a tapestry needle. What's the difference between those? Anyway, that kind of needle, and then you push the needle through two stitches as if you were going to purl them together, and then you just pull all the yarn through, and then you push the needle through again from the first stitch as if you were knitting it, and then you drop that first one off, and then you do that again as if you were going to purl. You take the next two stitches, get all the yarn in, and then you go through the first, or the one on the right, and then you can drop it. That's bound off. And I was doing that, and whenever I'd done one stitch, I'd really stretch it, so to make sure that this time it really will be stretching. And yeah, Now it is, and now it's possible to put your head through the neckline. So that's nice. And I had to put just a little bit of something to show you which way is the back of the neck, because it's not easy to see from the shirt itself, I think. So just to make it easier. And yeah, now I'm happy with it, with the same yarn. Wasn't too happy with the contrasting yarn, but I didn't have a choice, so I figured, yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's a lot better. Right. Then I have 2 sewing projects that I've made. I took a little bit of video with them on me. I'm sorry, the videos are probably really grainy because of the weather. There's nothing I can do about it, but just wanted to try and show it to you a little bit. I was using, so I did use the same pattern twice. I was using Do It Better Yourself Club pattern called Anything But Basic Tee. Yeah, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And the pattern is free online, and I printed it. It was a PDF, so I printed it and then attached the papers, and yeah, that's a hassle, and that's why I do prefer to use the same pattern a few times if it's if it's a good fit on me, because unlike knitting, there's quite a bit of stuff to prepare before you get to the sort of making the garment part. So yeah. So I had 2 different fabrics that I'd ordered from Eurokangas, which is a Finnish fabric company or fabric store, chain store. And they have this sort of surprise package where you pay 20 euros for uh, a certain amount of fabric. I don't remember how much. It was a certain amount of kilos, maybe 5. I might correct myself on the screen if it wasn't 5 kilos. But anyway, so I got in my package 2 different colors of fabric, and the first one I used is this sort of, was it light orange or whatever the color is. Um, and yeah, I think it, I'll put the video on my, on my face right now. I think it was really nice pattern. It fits me pretty okay. It has different choices for neckline if you want to have a very low neckline, or sort of a medium and then very close to your throat. And they all have different names. Scooped, I think Scooped, that was the open one, was it? And 2 others, I can't remember. It was in English, and I think in this pattern, the seam allowance were not included in the pieces. That's not a problem for me. I know that there are a lot of people who really prefer to have the seam allowances in the pieces, like in the papers. I don't have a problem with cutting the fabric 1 centimeter from the piece, the paper, or then 2 centimeters from the hem. But anyway, so that's not a problem for me. But some people prefer to have the seam allowances in the patterns themselves. I just think it's good that they mention whether they are included or not. That's all I need. Anyway, I didn't have the written instructions for the t-shirt because I know how to sew a t-shirt. I just need the shape of the pieces. And I decided for the first one, I just did I stitched the seams outwards. What I did, so did a bit of a finishing work on the neckline, but that's all, and nothing special in the sleeves nor the hem. Just turned it and put a sort of a zigzag. I have a very basic sewing machine, no decorative stitch patterns, which is a shame because I've seen people use those very imaginative stitches for the hem, and they look kind of nice. But yeah, I don't have that. I have straight zigzag and then this sort of a in between thing. But yeah, this one has quite an open neckline. So for the second one, and the fabric, I think it feels sturdy enough, yes, but it's still different from the other fabric I got. They are the way you ordered them. You chose the sort of uh, thickness of the fabric. I think it had some grams per square meter or something that real sewists know. I don't. They really don't. They're not very informative stuff for me, but just figured that okay, I didn't want to get the the thinnest uh, fabric they had in the t-shirt fabric that they had because I thought that I wouldn't like it in a t-shirt. I do want to have a little bit of sturdiness in the shirt. But still, even though these are sort of the same thickness, this one felt different from the other I made. So this is a sort of a lavender color, I think. The same pattern, and I'm gonna put myself the video I took of myself on the screen. And I think what I did differently for this one, yeah, when I was cutting it, I cut the neckline a little less deep because I thought that during winter time, at least, it would be nicer. Um, use the same paper, whatever, the paper that you use to cut out pieces from a fabric, but just cut it less deep from the neckline in the front part. And then what I did do differently also, well, I did finish the neckline for this one too, but then I also did the same with the sleeve seams. And I think Päivi from Päivi's Crafts said that you usually turn the seams outwards, sort of towards the sleeve, but I don't remember hearing why that is. I thought it would look kind of neat this way, so that's why I did it this way. But if there's a reason why you should do it the other way around, I'd like to hear about it. Anyway, this fabric, like I said, was a little sturdier, and it was in a sort of different format from the orange one. This was just uh, one piece that was like 140 wide or something, whatever the standard is. This was, I think the width was the same, but it was in a tube, which was pretty fun. Was sort of handy because the back pieces and the front pieces, of course, you cut out from a fold, so it already had folds, and because of that, the piece of fabric was better in shape. Because this one, where you had even though it's machine made, I think the the sides of the fabric were just skewed every now and then. So this fabric was easier to cut too. And well, I don't know if it will be different to wear at all. I haven't worn either of these. I just made them and then I washed them, and now they've been sitting and waiting to be shown on the podcast. And after now, uh, I can go and start using them. Right here, you can see just a little bit of a difference that there is in the neckline. Not a lot, but just a little. Oops, just a little. So this one is a little bit deeper than the lavender. Lilac. English is not my mother tongue, so I don't know how to describe this. What the name of this color is? And no, it's not the one you can see on the screen. Pretty sure about that because of the lighting. But yeah, so that's it. So I paid 20 euros for the lot of the fabric, and I'll easily make at least two t-shirts more, and the pattern was free of charge, so I'd say not even 5 euros for one shirt, so that's pretty nice if you think about the cost. Yeah, that's everything I wrote down about it. Then I have one purchase, and like I said in the beginning, it's not yarn, but it's something knitting related. It's a knitting book. Je deviens expert tricot by Liz Taylor, or that's how he pronounces her name. And yes, it is a play on words. It's not her real last name, I think, but it kind of suits her because in addition to being a knitter, she sews quite a bit. So yeah, that's a good name or alias to have in the knitting or sewing world. She has made one book before. It's called Je me mets au tricot. It's for beginners, and this, of course, is sort of aspiring. Is that the right word? People who hope to become experts. I showed this on my blog video, and when I had picked it up from the post office, I showed it to a colleague of mine, and she said, "Aren't you already an expert?" No, I'm not, and this is a really, really nice book. Besides, there are a lot of different things to learn, even though you know how to do some stuff pretty well. This has 190 pages and 10 different sections. So there's a section about cast on and bind off. There's one section about brioche, which is something I have never tried, and yes, I am still planning to do that. We'll see how long it takes me to really get around to it. Then there's a section about knitting socks. Then there's one about knitting lace. Sorry, I'm just reading in French, so I have to translated in my head, even though I should know these pretty well. And then there's one about knitting shawls, one about knitting, I think they're like cables and different kind of patternings. And then there's one about color work, sticking, intarsia, and mosaic knitting. I've made, I think, 2 pairs of socks in mosaic knitting. I've done one in intarsia. Was interesting. I should try another one. Never sticked anything, and knitting color work. Yes, I've done it, but no, it's not my favorite thing. And I'm pretty sure that I could use some of Liz Taylor's tricks to get better at it. Then there is one section about modifying and enhancing a pattern. And then there's one about failures, if you failed a project, what to do. And then there's one thing about sewing the seams, different stitches for sewing the seams. I think I've only just done like this with this book. I haven't had time to really start reading it, but yeah, very, very nice. But yeah, it's in French, so if you don't read French, then there are really good photos, but maybe you will have to know a little bit of French before you get to reading this. Or then you could start studying French and then do it while you're using this book. I don't know, but it seems like a really, really good one. So I'm happy to have gotten it, and because I ordered it directly from her store, I have it edited. So yes, she wrote me a little note on it, and that's nice. That's everything for this episode. The tablet computer that I'm using to record this is saying, okay, wrap it up, because it just stopped recording. Anyway, so there's just a little bit of chatter. I'm going on a trip in a few weeks, or not even, like a week and a half. There's a group of us from work that are going to Prague. It's something that our work has organized for us, and it's going to be exciting. I've never been to Prague before, and it's been really long since I last traveled outside of Finland, so that's going to be nice. So I got my passport renewed because the one I used to have was not valid anymore, hadn't been valid for quite a while, and that went really well. And now I'm just gonna get started with planning what to do in there. We have some things planned for us to do in Prague. We'll be visiting the university in there, and there's a guided tour around the old city or old part of Prague. I think it's an old city altogether, but yeah, in some part of the city. And then there we're gonna have dinner together, and then different things that we want to do. So that'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll be staying there for only a couple of days, but yeah, it'll be fun. And of course, it's a change to the everyday life. Yeah. Today is Wednesday, and I have my birthday on Friday. So I'm almost 45 now. Yay! Nothing special planned for that. We're going to my mom's for the weekend, and then we'll be visiting my brother-in-law and his family because they're twins, have their birthday right about now. And so it'll be nice to see all of them. And yeah, one of my sisters said that she might be getting some yarn for me for Christmas. Well, maybe for Christmas soon, but for my birthday. So yeah, yay! Looking forward to that. Well, that's all. I'm going to have to try and get this on the computer. I finally resolved how to transfer files from my phone onto the computer in a sensitive way. It was just so easy, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't figure it out myself. But yeah, thanks YouTube, I found a video. So I am gonna uh, try and get a bit of a video and to show you how gray it is. I think one of the video that I started um, or that I put at the beginning of this episode is something that I took 2 days ago when we were driving home, and there you'll see, you know, how wet and gray it is. And then I'm gonna pop on the balcony and just take a little bit of video to show you what it looks like now. But yeah, that's it. I hope you're gonna have a really good time in between this episode and the one that's going to be somewhere in the future, and I'm not gonna tell you when because I never know. But I hope you're feeling well, and I hope you enjoy whatever you're doing. Have a good time. Bye.